Welcome to a special edition of Heel Heat. This is a DVD review show. We've done one on the rise and fall of ECW. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Scott Flash Norton.
Hulk smash. Gary Rhodes.
And, you know,
hashtag
crazy mofo.
Hashtag millions of dollars.
Abraham's gone.
Let me get my Burger King headset. Anyways,
this week we're going to talk about, you know, we let you guys pick the winner, and we had a deadlock, so we did a little thing. The next vote won, and the next vote was...
And the survey says...
One more for the bad guy. nWo Back in Black, circa 2002, WWE produced video.
And you could tell it was, in certain aspects, which we'll get into.
Well, you know, the first thing I want to talk about with it is, at the time, it was right after they came back, about a year after they came in, after Hogan had already left, and they were bringing in Booker T. and
they didn't go as far into this as like when Shawn joined and stuff
no,
like that.
But the DVD, I think, came out right at that time.
Yeah.
But they didn't promote it well. They didn't.
No.
It wasn't given, you know, it wasn't given the hype that most of their DVDs are.
Well, the nWo was a precursor to DX. It was a precursor to the Austin era, way before The Rock. They should have gotten, you know, and I know it's not one of Vince's creative projects, but it's something that should be recognized as one of the most revolutionizing things in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it was the nWo, like it or hate it, eventually it killed WCW, or it contributed to killing, whatever you want to go with. Like it or hate it, it was one of the biggest things that's ever happened in wrestling.
Yeah.
And it should have been treated as such.
Well, hell, I can remember back in the 90s, soccer moms would have the nWo sticker on their cars and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the Austin t-shirts. You could go to any place, anywhere, and people were wearing nWo shirts out in public, where it's just geeks like me and this guy wearing wrestling shirts out in public now.
I actually have at the house the Big Johnson BJWO, Big Johnson World Order.
Nice.
And you know, Big Johnson back in the day was one of the hotter commodities, and they didn't really just latch on anything. So they latched on things that were really in pop culture at that point.
And nWo was pop culture. I mean, they were on the Jay Leno show.
Yeah, they even wrestled Jay Leno.
Yeah.
That wasn't covered on here.
Anyway, off the subject a little bit, but you know, and before we really get into this, what do you think would have happened if the original surprise third member would have came out?
You're talking about the best there is, the best there was,
Yeah,
the best there ever will be?
Originally, the plan was the big guy,
The
was
medium
Kevin
guy.
Nash, the medium-sized guy, Scott Hall,
And the small guy.
and the small guy. That's why they say, if you watch the videos and watch the DVD, they say the big guy and the medium-sized guy. The small guy was going to be Bret Hart, and that was going to be the swerve. If you watch the Wrestling with Shadows, it's when he's talking to Vince, he's saying, look, they threw stupid money at me, and Vince convinces him to stay on the 20-year contract that he breaks 6 months later anyway.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be Bret. It ended up being Hulk, which I think ended up being huge, you know.
No, I don't know. I mean, it was huge. I mean, I'm not doubting that, but, and don't get me wrong, I think Bret is an egomaniac too, but I don't think Bret would have been as much of a
Backstage cancer.
exactly.
He would
And
have
I think if Bret was in charge, I think Hall and Nash would have been on a longer leash or a tighter leash.
Well, one of the things that, you know, it's always disappointed me about the nWo is the nWo should have been Scott Hall's group. He should have been the leader.
First guy there,
Most
talented guy in the group. I mean, you could say what you want to say about his.
Even more talented than Kurt.
I'm talking about the original three. Kurt Henning's the fucking man. But back to what I was saying is, shoot, cowboy, is Scott Hall which learned from Kurt because he's a former AWA guy, was one of the better polished of the three. He was the best polished of the three.
Yeah, he was the best wrestler by far.
Exactly. I mean, that's why he took
Probably
more bumps than any of them too.
Probably in the early NWO, other than Waltman, the most talented wrestler in ring wise, and
I think he's still more talented than Waltman. Waltman could do more things at that point.
Yeah, he's smaller.
Exactly, but I mean, you had Scott Hall, an actual guy that was 6'7", 6'8", that could wrestle,
right,
and could be your power man. And I mean, if you remember back in his WWE days as Razor Ramon, they didn't really use him as a big guy after they turned him face.
No, they didn't.
And I mean, he's one of the most underestimated or underutilized talents that they've ever had.
Exactly, in either corporation. And then, getting back on the DVD, they chronicled the beginning of the NWO excellently. They spent about half the DVD just on the beginning segments of the NWO, which, is what we all look at as fans and remember fondly how it started.
But the one thing they didn't do on this DVD, they cut out, was
Heenan. When and I remember it verbatim because I've watched it 7 million times. And when Hogan's coming to the ring at Bash in the Beach, Bobby the Brain Heenan actually says, "Is he coming to join them?"
Which Heenan stayed in character for that because Heenan,
Heenan's always been anti-Hogan, and that's what I love about Heenan. Heel or face Hogan, he stayed anti-Hogan even when Hogan was the heel, and he should have been cheering for him.
And he was the one that always said, "I told you so," and rubbed it in everybody's face, like a heel, but he was, it kind of turned him face.
Yeah. Well, Bobby at some point, probably about 1990, Bobby couldn't be heel anymore because he was so fucking over it.
Oh yeah, I mean when he's the best mouth in the business.
He's the best heel, in my opinion, wrestler or manager ever.
Yeah, I mean, you could be in a building with him, and you could be managed by him, and you could be the shittiest wrestler, and barbarian, and your main event that night just because Bobby's in your corner. If you're Bobby,
hell, look at all the shit he's had to fucking King Kong Bundy. Not to shit on Bundy, he's an imposing guy, but he shouldn't have main evented at WrestleMania.
Fuck no.
I mean, King Kong Bundy main evented WrestleMania, and Kurt Hennig didn't. I mean, what's that say about how much of a rub Bobby Heenan gives?
Politics.
I'm saying,
and plus the
Heenan
rub. Rub. Hogan liked working with bigger guys.
I mean, the only guy that really didn't get over that he should have was Rude, and that's probably because of Rude's attitude.
Yeah, Rude was totally against it. But we're going off of this
way
DVD.
Off the subject, but that you guys know our shit. We go fucking off subject, so don't be surprised. And one of the funniest things that I've seen, and I know you agree, is when they showed when they attacked and they lawn darted Ray into the production truck.
The second funniest moment of the NWO, the first, I liked Arn, don't get me wrong, don't send hate mail, but when they did the Four Horsemen parody, that was the fucking shits. I'm not lying. I mean, everybody copied that. Yeah. Anyway, after that, you had the Nation getting copied by DX, and the Corporation after that, that was the first.
And that reminds me, because that's about right then is when they start, there's a huge gap in the DVD of the history of the NWO, and you got the stuff that's missing on this DVD, which they're coming out with another NWO DVD later this year. Hopefully it'll cover some of this missing stuff.
Well, it didn't have the wolf pack?
It didn't have the wolf pack, it didn't have the split, the black and the white, and the red and the black.
Mm-hmm. Didn't have the lay down?
It didn't have the lay down, it didn't have the Arn parody. It didn't have guys like Buff joining, like Steiner. Scott Steiner joining was huge when they did.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, he stabbed his brother in the back.
When Stevie Ray joined, he
stabbed
Booker in the back. I mean, these were huge. Buff Bagwell joining was huge even at the time.
Well, I mean, Scotty needed a lackey.
Right, and
Chipper wasn't minding it as long as they kept it business.
That's a shoot, kids.
Pow pow.
Power wheels.
Exactly. I don't know if that's the move they use on each other.
Wow. You're a power bottom, GR.
I think they use that on each other.
But, they got that missing. And it even missed, if you're going to document it, document the whole thing, document the NWO 2000 when they brought back with Jeff Jarrett.
And that was, they tried it with Jeff, which was one of the bigger names in that company at that point, whatever the fuck ever. And they had Bret Hart, and they're trying to work this gimmick. I think Goldberg was part of it too.
No, Goldberg.
That was right. It was such a forgettable moment.
It was at first they called it the NWO Elite, then they called it the 2000. It was 6 guys. It was Jarrett, Hart, Hall, Nash, Steiner, and I want to say Conan.
I think so.
No, Luger.
Luger, yeah, because Luger. That's a guy that, okay, you don't give Scott Hall the world title, but you give fucking Lex Luger the world title.
It was in his contract. That's why he showed up on Nitro. But anyway, that's some of the shit that's missing off of this DVD that should have been in there to tell the full story. The DVD, the documentary portion, clocks in about 2 hours. They could have stretched it out to 3 hours like they've done with others, like the ECW, like the AWA, like the World Class, like the other WCWs, and filled the whole entire story. They could have done this shit with Russo and Bischoff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the NWO, I would have to say, was like the number 3 thing to happen if you go in chronological order. I mean, first you have Hogan Hulkamania,
right.
Then you have ECW, and then you have NWO. Then after that you have
as far as changing
the game,
right? Because then ECW was not as big, but it changed the game.
Exactly, everybody borrowed from it.
Yeah, exactly. Even the NWO.
And the thing is, which is that wasn't talked about in the NWO thing, and won't even be talked about on the next one, I'm sure, is when NWO was there, you had Raven and his flock.
Yeah.
And I think they were just as over as the NWO was.
And they should have been the guys that fought against the NWO, but
anti-establishment.
That's a different
first establishment.
That's a different DVD altogether.
Well, it's never going to be on DVD, so it's got to be brought up.
It's on our DVD. We'll make a DVD.
Of just that.
Yeah, just the NWO and the flock.
Nevermore.
Nevermore.
Oh, you're in my frame, motherfucker. Shoot.
Got you back, bitch.
But speaking of all these different angles and kind of fuck-ups and stuff like that, I think the NWO should have brought in earlier with the invasion angle.
Right, they should have brought it into the invasion in WWE. That's a full nother shit fest that Vince, for as smart as Vince is, there's some major fuck-ups like WrestleMania 9 should have been Hogan versus Flair. The invasion angle should have had the NWO from the beginning, Goldberg from the beginning. He should have gave Sting whatever fucking money Sting wanted. Because I don't care how religious or how anti-WWF Sting was, there's an amount of money that Sting would have went for.
Oh, everybody's got a price.
You're damn right, Ted. But, and that's some of the...
Just imagine how much bigger it would have been.
How much bigger the invasion would have been. And then, after the invasion is when we seen what led up and where the DVD picks up. Ric Flair coming in as the owner that bought the shares from Vince.
The consortium.
The consortium. Where he bought the shares from Stephanie and Shane when they sold out to buy ECW and WCW. And that's what brought up and I thought they were some of the best promos ever, the Vince, I'm going to kill my own creation.
It's cancer. I'm going to check cancer.
No, it's poison.
Poison.
Flair was the cancer.
Flair's the cancer.
He's going to inject the poison. The NWO.
Turn my chair around. It's written on my chair.
No, it's great. Vince is awesome. I love it.
There's certain things that he hits and certain things he misses, but
was
more hits than misses.
As far as Vince promos, that's one of the most memorable for me. That Jeff Jarrett getting fired.
Oh yeah, well this guy just needed to be. Jeff Jarrett,
Lex Luger getting fired.
Jeff Jarrett broke a million million guitars and then put an ass in the seat.
Right.
Whatever.
But then that led into the NWO circa WWF because it wasn't WWE yet. It was still WWF.
They didn't get the F out yet.
Nope. And you can see it even on the DVD cover. But you brought that in and went into the WWF version, which they were smart to bring it back as just the original 3. They came in as heels, and then you had Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan again coming in, running roughshod again, doing the same gimmick, which it worked for a little while.
I want to go off the topic. I'm staying on the topic, but I'm going to go.
We're been off topic the whole fucking videos.
Okay, here's how epic I think it could have been. Is if at some point they came in, NWO ran the invasion angle, and then instead of Austin turning heel and joining the Alliance, he'd join heel and join the NWO and steal it from Hogan.
There you go.
Just little things. You never know. Things that could have made it a little bit better.
And even WrestleMania 18, the match should have been. It shouldn't have been Rock and Hogan. As good as that match is, I mean, it's not a good match, but
this is the best Hogan ever had, I think.
I mean, as fan-wise, I love the match. I know you do, too.
Yeah, the Hulk bottom. We actually pissed a friend off back then. I remember we saw the pay-per-view, right?
Yeah. But, you know, the thing was, as good as Rock and Hogan was, the match everybody wanted to see,
still to this day,
is Austin Hogan. You got the two biggest icons in wrestling. Hit it.
Icon. Biggest icon.
You got Hogan and Austin. One-on-one. Should have been one-on-one instead of one-on-one with the Great One. He should have went one-on-one with Austin. That's another one.
And then it could have been The Rock versus
Hulk Hogan.
Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Hulk Hogan's egos destroyed two of the biggest potential sellers ever. Hogan versus Flair at WrestleMania is the match that every fan wanted to see back in the late 80s, early 90s. That should have happened. And Hogan versus Austin, again, Hogan's ego, most likely.
Well, you look at Hogan and Shawn SummerSlam, 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
He wouldn't put Shawn over. He wouldn't put Austin over. And Austin, to be fair to Hogan, Austin didn't want to put Hogan over, but he shouldn't have.
No, he single-handedly saved that company.
Right. That Hogan tried to destroy and still is trying to destroy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's at TNA now, which, I mean, I'm starting to like their product, but it's still...
That's because he's not on the show.
Exactly.
But he's Hogan. I mean, can't knock the guy for what he's done for wrestling, but his egos also caused major trouble, destroyed WCW, or helped destroy WCW. Part of the reason why the nWo and WWE failed.
Well, he's like fertilizer. I mean, not to say in a bad way, but he's like fertilizer. He helped that company grow, but when you over-fertilize something that's already so grown, you kill it.
Yep.
And you had his ego, Hall's ego, and Nash's ego.
Hey, yo.
Ooh, you stole my gimmick.
But, you know.
Hey, yo. Fucker. Anyways.
That's one more for the bad guy.
One more for the bad guy. But, I mean, you had those three guys' egos.
Right.
And then you had Bischoff, which even, you know, when they came in, they should have had Bischoff with them when they were in WWE.
Yeah, it should have brought him, I mean, manager or whatever.
You know, then, you know, later on he could have came back as the general manager.
Right. You know, I mean, altogether, it's a good DVD. It's an incomplete story. I mean, personally, I would give it, if we give it a grade, what did we give? We went to 5 for the ECW. I would give this a 3 stars out of 5.
I would too. I'm with you. Maybe
it's incomplete. There's a large chunk of missing information that we want.
Well, back then I was an nWo mark. I didn't like WCW, and Attitude Era was really starting to kick in. And I was a Shawn mark, so I'd catch them both. But it just got a lot better when nWo got there. They turned the knob up to 11.
So I think we both agree it's a 3 out of 5 stars on this one. A decent, if you could pick it up in a bargain bin, you could probably get it for $5 or less on Amazon or on eBay or in a bargain bin at Walmart.
2 more times. And 5 times, sucker.
Anyway.
Something just doesn't belong here.
Exactly. I'm about to kick you out of the nWo. But anyway, it's good, not great. It's like I said, if you can find it for a bargain, it's worth a bargain just for the matches and the stuff they do cover. But I would hold off on buying it until the new one comes out, see what that has, and we'll probably review that too.
Well, what they'll probably end up doing is doing a double pack at Walmart or something like that. Put this one behind the other one for $20, you know, one of those double up deals.
Yeah. But with that being said, we're going to give you guys the power to vote on our next one.
The power to the people.
Power to the people.
Power to the people. People power.
And Big Johnny, his selection for this week.
Johnny Ace. TNA's top 50 moments of all time.
Which was put out about 5 years ago, so it doesn't have newer stuff on there.
Yeah.
And my pick of the week is going to be Bobby the Brain Heenan.
You humanoids and eggers will love it.
Now, you could pick this,
or you could pick that.
Survey says, one more for the bad guy again.
I picked the last one.
Hey.
No.
I'm still the bad guy. Joe.
Yeah, whatever.
But you could pick. You could let you guys.
Oh my
decide.
God!
You killed the gimmick.
I dropped the screen.
But you could pick one or the other, whichever you like. If you want to see Bobby the Brain Heenan, you want to see us review the top 50 moments in TNA, let us know. Let us know on here. Let us know on our Twitter. On our Facebook. And basically, it's been our review of the nWo Back in Black. I'm in George Coles.
Gary Rhodes.
And this is a Heel Heat review.